back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Kenneth Grant, Miami Dolphins rookie defensive tackle, going over this Browns tape, and a clip from last week. But this film, definitely his best of the season. I know, this Browns game was awful overall for Miami. I kind of wanted to just forget about it, move on. But this rest of the season is really just focusing on these young guys' development and where they're at as players because you're really focusing on the future. So getting these rookies to kind of take an upward trajectory is huge. And that's what Grant's kind of been doing the last 2 weeks. Really struggled versus Carolina. And the past 2 weeks, he's been playing at a higher level. They've kind of limited some of his snaps on first down, at least in the Chargers game. I think this game he got to show up and just show a lot better versus the run, which I think is huge. Had that sack versus the Chargers. That was really nice. Seems like the game's slowing down a little bit. He still needs to work on things from like a technique standpoint, but you can see him feeling more comfortable and at least playing with, that physicality, that size that he has, that athleticism. So he's definitely taking steps in the right direction. Still needs to go in, still needs to take those steps, but it's a clear difference, I would say, at least from like the first handful of weeks to these past 2 weeks. And like just his feel for the game, it's all looking a lot better. I would say, at least looking like these, like I would say this Browns game, he looked like a solid NFL player, while all the other ones, it was like maybe like having, maybe below average at best moments, and then even some like really bad moments. So we're gonna break this down, look at, what he's doing out here. I feel comfortable. I've always thought Grant would actually look better as a pass rusher, and he doesn't get too many pass rush opportunities, like true pass rush opportunities. Usually they're kind of having him work like stunts and stuff, or he's like the guy taking on the double team, or they're having him slant. And then versus the run, loved seeing this. So here we got Grant, backside of an outside zone from the Browns here as a 3-tech. So he's the 3-tech on the backside. The tackle's trying to cut him off. So I think he does a good job getting off the ball here. I think in the past he's kind of been a little bit slow to recognize the flow of the play, but he's in pretty good like position here flow-wise. Like even if you look at him compared to like Phillips, Sealer, like the linebackers, it feels like he's one of the faster people off the ball here, and he does a good job getting out there laterally and not allowing the tackle to cut him off. Like this is where you see his lateral athleticism. Like look at the range for a guy of his size to move like that is very, very impressive. Also does a good job, I think, of using his hands in this spot. I think, hands could be better. But here, I think does a really good job. Hands into the chest of the tackle to keep himself clean, not allowed to cut off. And also, he's creating displacement. Like, not only is he getting, like, great range laterally, he's creating some vertical displacement into the backfield here, pushing the guy back, like, a couple of yards. And that helps him get a tackle for loss. And this was, like, a really good, strain of plays. Like, he had, like, 3 or 4 plays in a row in the Browns games after that. Like, I thought he was effective on all of them. Like, here's literally the next play right after that on the run. Here's one where, like, he actually is still a little bit late to recognize. Like, this one, he actually kind of takes a little bit of a false step here away from this, but then he's able to adjust, recognize, they're running a pin-pull concept, so the tackle pins here. This guy pulls around the guard, so he has to get through that. Realize that he's, not in a good spot. Like, he is pinned down this way. So instead of trying to like get over the top and maybe get pushed on the field, he decides to just play with better pad level here. He's got good hand placement and just use your power and basically kind of open up that guy, turn him, get back to even, and now you're able to make that tackle at the line of scrimmage. I think this honestly might be even more impressive that he's able to make this tackle at the line of scrimmage in the last rep behind the line because of his initial positioning and leverage in that spot. The fact that he gets back over the top and makes that play is very, very impressive work from Grant. Definitely, like, 2 of his best plays, I would think, of the season, and they came in back-to-back fashion. So nice to see that improvement there from Grant, especially versus the run, because I think that's where a lot of his biggest question marks were. Because as a pass rusher, like, you could see at least the fat flashes of the pass rusher in the first few weeks. He just wasn't kind of getting home yet. I think that was more so because the Dolphins didn't get in a lot of good pass rush situations. So that's why you needed to see him be a better run defender, get those pass rush situations. Here, has like a 4-eye, basically gets isolated on a guard, bad guard play from the Chargers. Just nice to see him fire off the ball. Has decent pad level here, leverage, and then good hand placement. And he just forklifts the guy and has that power to basically push the guy back a few yards, turn those hips open, maintain your rush lane too. So he maintains that rush lane. And then once he sees Herbert start to peel up and, try to take that space, Grant's able to get off of it. Just wanted to throw that in there just to show, that was like his first full sack. last week. He even had, in the Panthers game that he struggled, he did get like his first half a sack in that one. So, statistically, he's definitely playing at a higher level. And then also just like the film wise, I think matches it up. Because here on the backside of this run, doesn't make the tackle, but you can just see the explosiveness. Look at the fire off the ball. Look at the vertical, the spacing. Like, gets off the ball pretty quick here in comparison to everyone else. Doesn't allow 75 to like completely cut him off. He realizes what's going on here on the outside zone. He's on the backside again. This time as a one tech. Doesn't want that backside guard to cut him off. He fires up field, and you can see just like he creates like 3-4 yards of displacement. He's not able to peel off of it and make a play. But imagine if the front side here like was playing this a little bit better. I mean, they still are able to stop this run for a minimal gain. Like he is the one who kind of slows down Samson's initial path. Like you can see how he affects the runner here, even though he doesn't make the tackle. Makes Samson work, around the edge. Now these guys set the edge. They don't maybe, get up the field like Grant does, but they do at least a decent enough job setting the edge, which then allows, Jordan Brooks to come to pursuit. That limits that to like just, a couple of yard gain. And Grant was the first one to really impact it. And you get to see off, some of his athleticism and play strength in that spot to at least penetrate into the backfield. Because that's where I feel better about Grant. Like something you noticed about the last 3 plays, it's when he has to play with a more penetrative play style or work through a blocker in a one-on-one. That's where like you can trust him. Like I think he does a better job when they're allowing him to be a little bit disruptive. Because you'll see in this next play, this is somewhere he does need to improve, but it is something he looked better at in this Browns game. It was holding his own at the point of attack as like a 2-gapper or taking on a double team. I think sometimes, he would play with poor technique, get pushed back. Even in this game when he played with poor technique, I thought he did a better job holding his ground. Here he just does a good job fighting through it. This right guard, right tackle, trying to work, this combo on him. And he just does a good job holding his own at the point of attack. Playing with decent enough pad level, bend in the lower half. Would maybe like to see him bend a little bit lower. Like he's just completely taking on those two, not getting displaced at all. And now it just constricts that run lane. And by him doing this, it leaves Jordan Brooks free, isolated to like then avoid the puller, which he does. And it also then leaves Chop one-on-one with a tight end, and Chop just bullies the tight end and makes the tackle in the backfield. So, like, him taking on this double team just opens up a couple of your defenders and gives them a good look. It gives Brooks a lot of space to work with to avoid the block. So if Chop didn't make this play, Brooks would have probably been there to make that play. And then it gives Chop a one-on-one with a tight end. If your edge has one-on-one with a tight end, he's going to win that, like 99% of the time, which he does in that spot. Very good work. Here's like a combination. A pretty good work by Grant. Some things he still needs to work on, because I think here initially you see a good feel for kind of space opening up. Playing as like this one tech right here as an A gap defender, he kind of feels this space here open up to that B gap, and I feel like he does a good job taking it, throwing that guy out of the way. But the problem is he kind of brings him back up. So once he gets in this spot, he kind of just needs to toss him out of here. But he kind of brings him back up because I think he's supposed to be 2-gapping. And he realizes, like, oh god, I need to hold my own at the point of attack. Don't want to give up by committing this gap, give up this A gap right here. But then he's able to, like, regain and then shed him off the ball and then get over there and help make that tackle. He does, it looks like he's kind of getting pushed to the ground here, but he's actually the one who ends up making the tackle by doing that. And it limits it to, like, a 2-3 yard gain on the play. Pretty effective work there from Grant. Still making a play, even though the technique, playing with, like, high pad level, showing a better feel for like shedding in that spot, and then still able to work through it, strain, and make a play late. I like seeing that, even when your initial technique isn't perfect. That's pretty good work there from Grant. Here he is on the backside, also helping get involved. They actually do a good job actually picking him up this time. So the guard does a better job helping out his tackle, throwing that backside, and then allows the tackle to cut him off. So outside zone on the backside again, like I'm saying from Grant, but showing lateral range, working through contact, continuing to strain this. Also showing like power, so like athleticism and power here sometimes, because like your play side sets the edge. So like this is where you work team defense. Chubb sets the edge. Phillips does a pretty decent job. They basically then force Samson to make a cutback, and like there looks like there could be space there, but Grant does a good job closing that space and helping Chubb make that tackle, getting involved. Just not getting pushed back even when things don't work out for you perfectly. And then also just doing your job. Like here, where they almost get that safety, Grant's doing his job. This is a lot of his pass rush reps where like he doesn't get a lot of true one-on-ones. He's just working this stunt. So like he slants to the inside, Phillips slants to the inside, and then Dotson loops around. So he has to get all the way across the face here and then take on 3. So he ends up taking on 3 because he thinks Dotson's going to come in here. but Grant takes on 3 people. Dotson then gets looped around. Phillips draws a penalty. Chop also, collapses the pocket. Everyone else gets like pretty clean one-on-ones because Grant takes on 3, and they all do a pretty good job of just collapsing it and not giving Gabriel anywhere to work because they all kind of converge on him. So that's a good job from Grant, just doing his job, what's asked of him, without having to be like any sort of main impact on the play. Here, holding his own at the point of attack. I just thought he was better like this. Like, even just straight up one-on-one blocks where, like, the guy's just trying to base block you and you have to hold your own. I feel like in the past, Grant was giving up more space. In this game, like, I don't recall him really giving up space at all, like, getting pushed back, getting displaced. He holds his own. They're kind of like, his gap here, his, like, area where they could go commit here or here. That's kind of like the point of attack for the Browns offense. And if he gets pushed off the ball, that could change the whole dynamic. But everyone just does their job. He shows that play strength. He even kind of forklifts the offensive lineman late, stands him up, playing with pretty good pad level here. If you like just look at it right here, look at their comparison in pad level and bend. Like, so even though he's not making the tackle, he's doing a much better job. And like, to be fair to the Dolphins defense, their run defense was much better in this game. I know they gave up 3 rushing touchdowns and one was a 40-yard run, but like their average rush yards was actually still relatively low. And I think they had like nine tackles for like no gain or for loss, which is much improved. I think the reason they gave so much points was because of some one was a defensive touchdown, another one they started to 2, one they also had a special teams great field position. Also, I would say the refs gifted them 10 points. But yeah, another example of Grant holding his own at the point of attack, giving Dotson sort of that free lane because they go here. 72 is late to get out there. I mean, that's also Sealer actually holds that that offensive lineman, so it kind of frees up Dotson to shoot in this B gap. Grant maintains that A gap, even when he's not playing with great technique. Like, I feel like his pad level's too high here. His hands are a little bit wide, so even when the technique isn't good, he's not getting pushed back. Like, he doesn't really get pushed back there. He holds his own and helps basically make that stop at the line of scrimmage. You got to be able to do this even when your technique isn't good. I feel like the technique isn't good here, but he's showing just a better feel for the physical part of the game, just like being able to hold his own, because then you have guys that are able to work off of you. You get pushed back here, just creates so much space. Even if like Dotson commits here, but he's getting pushed back, Judkins could just commit to that hole. But now everyone knows to peel off late. He has to be patient. Just good work there from Grant. Even here, you can just see the lateral quickness. This one, there's no cutback. They're not able to quite set the edge this time. So, like, say the edge was set with how Grant gets off the ball. Like, look at this get off with the guard trying to cut him. He is moving for a guy of his size laterally. And he's, like, in phase with the running back. They just don't have the edge quite set up. If they had the edge set here, he has to cut back. Grant's in a perfect position. I mean, it's not even a large gain. They only end up getting, like, 4 on the play. But I just feel like Grant's looking very comfortable in the pursuit. I feel like this is where he's at his best first run, is on the back side of some like outside zone, or whether it's pin pull, some sweeps, anything on like the back side of a run that's goal is maybe to try to capture the edge or maybe hit a cutback lane. Grant is doing a pretty good job in pursuit, getting to show off that athleticism. Here's another play where like he gets to show off some lateral range. They're trying to cut him off. He's slanting to the inside, becoming an A-gap defender. Identify the flow of this play, kind of rip underneath that, and then keep working with the flow, work with the flow, and then get over there and actually help stop this run for a minimal gain, and ends up going for like 3 yards. Interesting, play. But yeah, just another play where like he's involved, kind of making a run stop where he probably shouldn't be, like in this spot, like with how it works out. But he's helping constrict. He knows, like, if you look at the defense, he knows like his job is to slant inside here. Like, he has all this help. Like, he's slanting. You have Ashton Davis on the backside. You have a lot of run. You have Jordan Brooks to work off of you. A lot of players on this backside. So he's just trying to get over that top and help make that play. So showing off pretty good understanding of what the defensive call is in that spot. Here's one where I think, the ball is out quick, but I actually think this would have been a pretty good rush from Grant, where he actually gets one-on-one with the offensive tackle, which is interesting. I think he does a good job here, like, showing some power, like, off the edge. One, good maintained rush integrity. He should also probably get hands to the face right there. They don't call it. But I think this is a really good example of like if you are rushing off, they had good rush integrity to where you still have that outside leverage. So if he tries to escape, you're in a good spot to like do that, but also constrict it so he can't really step up in the pocket either. He wouldn't step up with these guys there in his face. I also think he just does a good job turning this guy open. You can see the power once he gets that. 'Cause he has that inside hand, but once he gets that outside hand, he's able to turn, open up, and then dip and rip underneath. Unfortunately, they throw it to the outside because the guy's open. They end up dropping Jalen Phillips into coverage. It ends up working out for them because I think that's where this is the play where the tight end just fumbles it on his own. Um, Here, identifying the screen, you can see him do this late. There's another one where like he's not getting real pass rush opportunities. They're just having him slant to create some open space, but he slants here, and he's just trying to create a loop for Sealer. But once he sees how this offensive lineman plays it, he realizes it's a screen, and he's able to kind of get over there, get in the throwing lane, almost knock the ball down. It is an incompletion. They don't even end up completing it. But you can see that he does start to feel and recognize screen in this spot, which I think shows off some pretty good instincts there from KG. Uh, Decent play. Here's another one, not a real true pass rush opportunity, but they are working a bit of a stunt. Phillips knifes to the inside. Grant loops around, and he just does his job again. Another time of just doing your job. You sell to the inside on this guard to keep this open space for Phillips to knife to the inside, and then you loop around off Phillips so Gabriel cannot escape, and then it allows Phillips then to get that sack. So he does a really good job understanding his responsibilities, what the offense will try to do off of that. So initial play, boom, you go to the inside. It leaves Phillips with all this space one-on-one to go to the inside. Now you see Phillips on the inside. You want to loop to the outside to get contained for him. You take a great angle because here in the past I feel like I've seen maybe Grant not take the perfect angle, gives the quarterback the opportunity to escape. By him taking this angle, he forces Gabriel back into Phillips. That is a very good example of like maintaining your sort of integrity, your rush lanes, understanding situations, and just sort of adapting as a play goes on too. Because I don't think it played out exactly how they kind of drew it up, but it still kind of was still in that same vein of a play. And then it helps Phillips get that sack opportunity. So even though he didn't get really many true rush opportunities in this game, he still did his job in those spots and helped make life easier on for your edge rushers, for your linebackers blitzing. Help definitely his best game versus the run. Not only making multiple like defensive run stops, some tackles for loss, tackles at the line, and even his tackles like that went past the line were like 3 yards or less. I think maybe one went for 4 yards. That's very good. You don't want to be making tackles as a defensive tackle past 4 yards. That's when I think you start getting into trouble. But the fact that like one of them was for 4 yards and the rest for like 3 or less is very, very solid for Grant in this game. And even the reps where he wasn't making tackles, I don't think he was, showing anything in particular. Like the early games were like, he would have like 2-3 reps in those games where like he would get pushed back, many yards, sometimes, 5 to 7 yards, which is just unacceptable. Usually those plays I think were due to like technique. Sometimes, maybe he got kind of stepped on, made it look worse than it was, but like still can't have as many of those that he was. So good step in the right direction for Grant. At least something positive to take away for Miami because we are looking sort of to the future right now. And if Grant can step up, I'm looking to trade away some of your edges, have Chop play more because I do think Chop has looked good these past few weeks. He's just barely played snaps. And he played more snaps in this Browns game. So I'm trying to get Chop and Grant as many opportunities as possible because they are guys that you need to feel very comfortable with as pieces for this defense of the future. So if you guys want to do it, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you.